It's nervous system dysregulation that then leads to chronic inflammation. I spent years trying all sorts of things, and I mean years. I wasn't dealing with the root cause. And then that inflammation screams out through the skin or whatever pathway it needs to get your attention. I don't have money to pay my bills. I hate my partner. My kids are driving me crazy. What's this fucking job that I have to go to that's what a lot of women are going through right now. They're like trying and grabbing at things that might work to give them some relief. I'm like, every single disease process and illness has its own energetic frequency. It has its own disharmony. So learning to work with bodies and feeling the different energies coming through my hands. And that was what led me to Reiki. Reiki was very much like, there is something else going on here and I can't explain it. And then that blew my world open. It literally blew the doors off the bar. I had to learn how to say no. I had to learn how to ask for help. I had to set boundaries. I decided to really focus in on eczema because I had eczema myself.
Disclaimer. The purpose of our podcast is to give holistic wellness information that doesn't replace medical advice and/or attention. Please sit back, take a deep breath, slow down, and enjoy the show.
Welcome guys to another episode of the Camu Talks, where we talk about wellness, healing, and everything in between. My very special guest today, she's so special to me. She's a dear friend of mine. She's my Reiki master. She has something really, really important to say. Miss Sabrina Hall, welcome to the Camu Talks once again.
Thank you, Abby. Great to see you. I wish it was in person.
I wish I lived there too.
Yes.
It's my dream place to live. Sabrina, I first met you as my Reiki master, and I know you've also done the lymphatic massage therapist and reflexologist. You have something important to tell me today, and you want the women out there or the men out there to know what inspired you to expand your work beyond energy healing and body work into creating this holistic eczema recovery system, and what called you to make that shift, and how does it connect to what you've always thought about the energy in the body?
Nice. Great question. So as you know, I've worked with mostly women for about 8 years now. I use a couple of different bodywork modalities. So lymphatic massage, lymphatic drainage is kind of my key one, combined with reflexology, and then Reiki permeates through all of it, and aromatherapy as well. And I use those to help shift congestions and blockages in the body, stagnations. So in the body and energy systems, really, to return the body to a flow state. And over the years that I've been working with women, I am seeing them struggling a lot to try to stay on top of everything. And I'm watching as their nervous systems move into chronic sympathetic response. And we can talk about what that is later. But the ensuing inflammation from that is huge. And they have all of these seemingly unrelated symptoms popping up that just become confusing for most women. So I continue to see clients now in person on an individual basis, but I wanted to start making a bigger difference in women's lives. And so about a year ago, I began taking on clients for private health coaching. And the women that I was privileged to work with started to see huge gains towards their health goals. And it happens because they can focus entirely in a really consistent and concentrated way with a coach that's there to fully support and educate them along their way. And it really becomes like you're a cheerleader for them. That led me to wanting to work with larger groups of women in a really focused area that I knew that I could help them heal from. because I'd done it myself. And that really was where the Eczema Recovery System came from. So this is really just an expansion of my work and focus, looking at the body, mind, and energy systems of the whole woman from a holistic perspective, and using eczema as the vehicle for that process.
So, in other words, it's very, very much what I'm hearing is it's very much like immunity and like your overall holistic wellness is what is causing this eczema. Am I right?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. It's nervous system dysregulation that then leads to chronic inflammation, and then that inflammation screams out through the skin or whatever pathway it needs to get your attention,
Yes.
really. And because of my own personal experiences, I decided to really focus in on eczema because I had eczema myself.
So,
Mhm.
in other words, it translates or it shows up differently for other people. Like an inflammatory response could respond differently for me, and it could show up differently for you. And eczema is one of those ways that it shows up out into your from your inside out, basically.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah. And inflammatory conditions are, wow, there's a ton of different inflammatory conditions now, as you know from your work in the
Mhm.
hospital system, as a nurse. And
Mhm.
yeah, it just eczema is one of those pathways that because of our health history and things that we're holding in our bodies, that's just one of the pathways that can light up
Yeah.
and become a problem.
And it's funny because when we think about eczema, it's very much like, oh, it's just a skin rash or
Mm.
some kind of allergy of some sort at times, like because it flares up, right?
Oh yeah, the flares are huge. Yeah.
And I did hear something about it being more than what it is. Like there's
Yes.
definitely something underlying with regards to
Hmm.
it showing up. So now you've gone from studying biology
Yes.
to now blending science, energy, and emotional healing in your work. Was there a particular moment and experience that made you, realize, you know what, this is the path that I'm actually
Mm,
meant to follow?
absolutely. I've always been drawn to biology overall. I know I love like anatomy and physiology and like how processes work in the body. And then also that natural health, right? I've always been drawn to that. And I had some experiences in my younger years with the traditional medical system that just left me feeling like I had to figure it all out myself. And I've also just got that kind of personality. So I spent years trying all sorts of things. And I mean, years, like, gosh, 15 years. And none of them worked for very long because they were like band-aids. I wasn't dealing with the root cause. And it showed in my approach, but that's what a lot of women are going through right now. They're like trying and grabbing at things that might work to give them some relief, right? So I'd been trying to figure it all myself. And in 2015, I started to feel really restless, like I wasn't where I was supposed to be, and I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. And in 2017, I took my family and traveled around like a nomad for a year in our camping trailer. I think I met you just after we came back from that first trip, because it was incredible. It gave me a year to really figure out what I wanted to be when I grew up.
Love
And I came back from that trip
Mhm.
and I had done all sorts of just like blue sky dreaming and wishing and thinking, of all of the things that make me happy and passionate in my life. And I had this crazy little knit list in a notebook that I still look at sometimes that had, things like dogs, music, scent, and all of those things.
Mhm.
And scent was a huge one, right? So I came back from that year of just like living in nature and away from everything. And I lasted 3 months at my semi-corporate job at that time before I resigned and gave up a full salary with pension and benefits. And I enrolled to become an aromatherapist. And yes, many people in my life questioned my sanity and what I was doing at that time. But the scent thing, it was drawing me in. And what I realized was it was more of that, like the the different frequencies and vibrations of energies that was pulling me towards them. Like plants, each of them individually have their own vibrations and frequencies. And then getting more into the alternative health scene, I started to realize, I'm like, every single disease process and illness has its own energetic frequency. It has its own disharmony that is going on with it, right? And if we can release those disharmonious frequencies from the body systems, then we're capable of healing from almost anything. So yeah, in a nutshell, that's my journey.
And is that what kind of led you to Reiki? Because of the kind of the knowledge and knowing of the vibration and the healing properties
Yeah,
of different vibrations.
yeah. And also when I like in my younger years, I was very science focused. It was very much like everything was black and white. There was no middle ground.
Yeah.
Everything believed that everything had an answer. And if something didn't have an answer, then I was like, well, it's not worth my time kind of thing. So when I got into my own healing, for me, like aromatherapy came first, and then I got into lymphatic massage and reflexology, like very close together. So learning to work with bodies and feeling the different energies coming through my hands. And that was what led me to Reiki. Reiki was very much like, there is something else going on here, and I can't explain it. And I can't understand why I'm experiencing the things that I'm experiencing. And then that like blew my world open. It literally like blew the doors off the barn.
All of a
So
sudden, there's like a gray color somewhere there
yeah,
rather than
yeah,
black or white. So for listeners
exactly.
who may not, know so much about your background in terms of your journey to, having an autoimmune condition, can you
Mhm.
share a little bit about, your journey with that?
Yeah, for sure. Um, I love connecting in with people's stories and journeys because I really believe that it tells you a lot about how and why their body, mind, and energy might be in a particular holding pattern or disease state. So my personal journey, and I share this with a lot of people because I believe that when we can find connection with each other and similarities in our stories and journeys, that it really helps other people connect into particular things in their life that may be indicators of what's going on with them. So my journey starts at the age of about 9. I went to the National Ballet School of Canada in Toronto, and when I was 9 years old for grade 5, and I lived there for 4 years. So I would live there throughout the whole entire week, and then my dad would come and pick me up on Saturday morning after ballet class, and then he would bring me back on Sunday evening. And the whole entire process was a very much a love-hate relationship for me. I loved being there and I hated being away from my family. And at such a young age, I grew up really young. I was overly responsible for myself at a young age. And by the time I reached my 20s, I was really struggling with my health. My body had been trying to whisper to me for a long time that things were out of balance, and I wasn't listening. At that point, I was like shut off. I was in my like science only phase.
May I
And
know how old you
so
were at this time?
in my 20s,
Got it.
yeah, so like early 20s kind of thing. And
Mhm.
at that time, I was really struggling with my gut. I had IBS, that like blanket statement, IBS, that I later found out to be celiac. I'm a mild celiac. My eczema started really flaring badly at that point on my hands. It had been an issue for me in childhood a little bit and through my teens, but in my 20s is when it really, really came screaming out at me and was super painful and raw all the time. I would also get some on my face, kind of around my eyes in that really sensitive skin there. Um, I had lymphatic congestion all down the left side of my body, which was more of the mental, emotional lymphatic congestion as opposed to like a visible physical lymphedema. I had Raynaud's disease. The two middle fingers of my hand would go completely white. And yeah, that's an autoimmune thing. And then I developed fibrocystic breast disease as well. And so, yeah, my body was just like, would you listen to us? Something is wrong, and
Right.
you're not listening. So, yeah, so I personally struggled with eczema for about 20 years. And like I said, it was the worst on my hands and face. And it wasn't until I focused on my own healing. So, like in my 30s, after that first trip, when I quit my job and turned my life completely sideways and went in a different direction. So, I was focusing on my own healing, not my health, my healing, which is a bigger picture thing. And I started to really look at my own emotional patterns and fixed beliefs around control. Control is a big one for me. Fixing other people, people pleasing, and holding myself to completely unrealistic expectations. And that's when I started to make true headway with my own conditions. I had to learn how to say no. I had to learn how to ask for help. I had to set boundaries. And probably the biggest thing that I had to do after all of those things was redefine what rest really meant for me. And that's a big part. All of those are big parts of my program.
Whew, lots to unpack. Thank you for sharing that.
Mhm.
This sounds like my everyday, stories of people surrounding me and what they go through, and you don't think much of it, right? You don't, like I'm just going through this and going through that, but a lot of the times we don't, like you said, we don't listen to our bodies,
Yeah,
and
yeah, exactly.
it will scream if, at the
Well,
end.
if you don't listen to the whispers, then it starts
That's right.
screaming. And one of my favorite parts of my work has been connecting in with individual women and their stories, and just allowing them to be seen and heard.
Mhm.
And sometimes like, that's the first most important step, right? Of healing is allowing that just to come out and have no judgment around it, no shame, because there are so many of those feelings tied up in us, and we're particularly speaking about women. We're women, so it's
Right.
easier for us to relate to other women, and that's why I love working with women, because I know what worked for me as a woman, and I can help other women walk that pathway.
Absolutely. Takes a
Mhm.
woman to understand a woman, right?
Yes.
So let's talk physiology. Many people think eczema is just a skin issue. We briefly talked
Mhm.
about this earlier. And you teach that it's actually a sign of something deeper. So can you explain what's really happening inside the body, what's going on when this condition appears?
That's good. So, one of the main tenets or foundations of my work is that symptoms are not enemies to be destroyed, but they are sacred messengers who encourage us to take better care of ourselves.
100%.
I've had that on my like business card since day one. That is such an important statement for me.
Yes.
So, okay, so when you have inflammation, and that's what eczema is, it's an inflammatory skin condition. So think of like the angry, red, itchy, blistering, raw skin, right? That's screaming out of your system and trying to get your attention. that tells me that something or a whole lot of somethings are going on inside.
Mm-hmm.
So when we have all of our primary detox pathways in the body, right? We've got the lymphatic system, which is huge, which is why I love working with it. We have our liver, our kidneys, the gut, our lungs, and then the skin is a primary detox pathway, but it's mainly just for sweat, right? So when those primary detox pathways are overburdened, the skin becomes a backup detox pathway for a ton of stuff to come out through it. And then the other thing that's going on is related to the nervous system. So many women with inflammatory skin conditions have a similar journey or story to mine. They're typically high achieving, set completely unrealistic expectations on themselves, and they don't really understand what it means to rest and unwind. They kind of think like, oh yeah, I did a 10-minute meditation, like my whole life is really stressful, but I did a 10-minute meditation, so I'm good. I rested. And that causes a problem because the nervous system gets stuck in a fight or flight state for a very prolonged period of time, right? And some body systems go into sleep mode. Like if you think of us as a computer, some body systems go into sleep mode while others are primed for instant reactions. So our nervous system has two branches of the autonomic nervous system that are kind of just like switching back and forth without any control from us, like no need to at all. So we have the sympathetic nervous system, which is our fight, flight, or freeze response. And then we have our parasympathetic response, which is the rest and digest or the rest and heal mode.
Right.
And those two systems, when we are balanced, they are just activating throughout the day, right? Our sympathetic response really comes into play when we're like preparing to do things and be very active and have to respond to situations stuff, right? Think about 10, 20,000 years ago, our sympathetic response was designed for, whoa, there's a lion that's about to attack the tribe, or there's a fire coming. Like, let's mobilize and be active and get moving kind of thing and have to respond to something. So the systems in our body that become active during the sympathetic response are our lungs become very active, our heart is ready to go, our muscles are primed and ready, and our brain is ready to make split-second decisions. But that's it, right? It's like a yes or no, let's go kind of thing. And so the parasympathetic kind of systems, they all get put to sleep. They're in that sleep mode. And they're the ones that are kind of like, they're in the core of our being. And you think about systems that aren't required at that point. So we don't want to have to eliminate anything. So our elimination systems are getting sluggish. We don't want to be wanting to digest anything because that's a whole lot of energy that's not needed then. We don't need our immune systems active. We don't need our lymphatic systems active. And we certainly don't need our endocrine system, our hormones being active at that point. So all of those are asleep. They're just like kind of chugging along in the background. And so if we're constantly in sympathetic response because our nervous systems feel like we have to be stressed out by something, stress can be interpreted by our nervous systems as a whole bunch of things, right? It's not the lion or wolf that's going to attack us anymore. It's I don't have money to pay my bills. I hate my partner. My kids are driving me crazy. What's this fucking job that I have to go to every day?
That's the
Like,
first time I heard you said the F word. Oh my God, Sabrina, I
I
love it.
actually tend to swear a bit. I think a good swear word, well placed, is very impactful.
Yeah,
So
yes, absolutely.
so we've got all of this stuff going on, right? That like our body and our mind interprets as stress. And so then that sympathetic response is constantly driving inflammation. And inflammation, again, is one of those like, it's a very useful process in the body. And normally when it's like an acute situation
It's fine.
and yeah, it's like necessary for healing things, right? But when the sympathetic response is just on all the time, then inflammatory compounds are just like going through your body like crazy and nothing's turning them off, right? So inflammation is really at the core of a skin condition like eczema or any inflammatory skin condition. And it's a literal fire on the inside. So that's what's going on in there.
That makes perfect sense. I think I could relate to like even things like weight gain around the belly, those that
Yeah.
stubborn weight that you can't get rid of, and you're doing everything, you're doing all the right things, you're eating the right kinds of food, you're eating, then you have this stressful job or a partner you don't get along with or your mother-in-law, whatever it is, and you're wondering like, well, I'm a failure and I can't do anything to change that. Then you're wondering like, no, there's something more going on in your body and it's showing
Exactly.
up in that way. Why do you think so many people stay stuck in that cycle of creams and flare-ups? And you know, those typical typical topical treatments, those typical why do they fail?
I certainly stayed stuck in those cycles for a long time, a lot of years. As humans, we like to go for easy solutions, right? And so if somebody tells me that like there's this cream that's going to fix your eczema, wouldn't it be nice if that actually worked? I would certainly try it. That would be so simple. But the problem is we're not actually addressing the root cause of what's going on. So when the cream temporarily takes the eczema away, we're like, woohoo, I am going back to living the way that I was, and I'm going to eat all the things. And then the eczema returns, and the disappointment hits so large. And it's kind of like taking pain meds for a broken bone.
Makes sense.
It temporarily takes the pain away, right? But your bone is still broken. So eczema is exactly the same way, right? We're putting pain medication on the eczema. It's temporarily taking the symptom away, but it's not addressing what's actually going on, the inflammation inside the body.
Got it. So it's like a band-aid, like you
Yeah,
said.
yeah.
Um, what do you think are some of the biggest misconceptions with regards to eczema? I have a few friends who are actually going through this, and I'm glad I'm talking to you because not too long ago, a really close friend of mine, you know, kind of made the comment about how this eczema just keeps showing up from time to time. I don't know what cream to use. I think a cream briefly worked for her,
Yeah.
then it kind of like, I don't know what to do. So, what do you think are some of the biggest misconceptions?
Okay. Misconception number one is that this is a lifelong condition. And I want to give hope to every single person out there dealing with eczema right now. It is not. It does not have to be a life sentence. I am proof of that. And the women that I've helped heal their eczema, they are proof of that. So that's number one. Um, Another thing I hear a lot is that it's a lost cause because of genetics, right? My mother, my great grandmother, my great grandfather had eczema, so I'm just going to have to live with it.
Yeah.
We both know from energy healing modalities like Reiki, too, though, that energy imbalances from your lifetime or generational lifetimes can be cleared from the physical body. And I also know from personal and clinical experience that inflammatory conditions can be resolved because, like I said, I've helped other women to achieve it and I've done it myself. Um, and then probably the final big one that I hear all the time is that you'll have to be on steroids and prescription meds for the rest of your life with eczema, possibly even having to go onto like immunosuppressants, to like actually suppressing your immune system. That's scary shit. Um,
Yeah.
but again, by addressing the nervous system and the inflammatory response, most even moderate to severe eczema can be healed from the inside out.
Awesome. I mean, that's
Mhm.
really great for people that are going through it because then you kind of feel like, oh, I'm gonna have to deal with this for the rest of my life, and it's annoying, right? Like,
It is.
not,
Yeah,
it's
especially when you get to the point where like you've lived with it for years, like most people's daily reality when they have eczema is you can't get it off your mind. you literally can't. It is always there nagging because the itch is incredible. It's super insistent. It's like endless. And so your body is constantly drawing attention to wherever it is. And the emotional turmoil that you go through every single day with like the what can I try next? And like constantly searching for that thing that's going to help you to not experience this. And like be able to wear black clothes or like yeah, not have to wear long sleeves and be careful of your skin in the sun and all those sorts of things. So it's just so far reaching.
It's uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
I've seen my friends kind of. I'm like, I don't know how you deal with it. It's all
Yeah.
it's all I can say.
Mm.
But let's talk about your signature program. I believe it's called the Eczema Recovery System.
Yeah.
Tell me, what makes it different from the conventional or even like other holistic approaches?
So in the program, I take the approach of action first, education second, because I think anybody who has any kind of ongoing condition has done a lot of reading, like you're trying to sort it out. So I really wanted to provide like actionable things that you can do right away out of the gate from it. And then I really focus on slow, manageable, and sustainable changes because that's what's going to work in the long run.
Correct.
So I use a systems approach. It's a 12-week program. We start with immediate skin rescue and skin relief techniques. And then I start working into nervous system regulation and relaxation. We do that through all sorts of mindfulness techniques. There's like guided meditations in my program, breathing techniques, different videos all about how to do all of these different things. Then we identify the inflammation triggers for each person individually. So I have a really great set of like checklists and body mapping that we go through for each person. And then we work on mindset and lifestyle modifications. Once we've kind of got those initial things under control, the second half of the program then focuses on all of those support systems and calming them. So we do a big part on the gut because the majority of women who have eczema also have a significant history with their gut health.
Yeah.
And then lymphatic and immune systems as well.
Mhm.
So we work at the pace of each woman. So they go through it at whatever speed they need. We have weekly group accountability and coaching sessions where I'm on with the group and we're just like talking through all of the questions, regardless of where you are in the program. And these are really, really useful. I've seen so much growth from the women involved in the program just from these weekly sessions because they see, oh, this woman's into like week 7 or 8, right? And they're working on this and they have these questions that I didn't realize I was wondering about. And now we're addressing them, for somebody who's maybe in week 2.
Mhm.
So while I'm doing this initial launch, so I've done this program in person with people, like one-on-one kind of thing. But what I'm launching here with the Eczema Recovery System is this like online, you can do it from anywhere with all of my support. And it's like a group thing too. So because I'm in this initial launch, a beta launch of it, my participants that sign up over the next little while are also getting 2 private 30-minute coaching sessions with me. So we do them like, at third of the way through the program and 2/3 of the way so that they get that like real, just individualized support from me. And then there's also like a real need for community when you're healing from a condition like eczema. So we have, I have a private community group that all women are signed into when they first enroll. And the women there are for each other, like for support and feedback, and can like ask questions in there, and I'm active in that group as well. So yeah, so in a nutshell, that's what that is.
That's a very holistic approach. I like,
Mhm.
and that's what it should be about, right? It's not just putting that random cream or taking steroids.
Mhm.
It's very much like a holistic approach. So let's go back, just rewind a little bit. You kind of briefly mentioned the gut brain kind of relationship
Mm,
there. And for
yeah.
anyone that is hearing this for the first time,
Mhm.
what does it mean and why is it so crucial in your journey of skin healing?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I spend an entire module on the gut brain skin axis. Um, it's this beautiful communication loop between your digestive system, your nervous system, and your skin. Most people think of their skin as separate from what's happening inside, but in reality, your skin is reflecting what's going on in your gut and in your stress response or your nervous system. So, when your gut is inflamed or your microbiome is out of balance, that directly affects your immune system. It can lead to things like leaky gut, gut dysbiosis, but leaky gut in particular allows inflammatory molecules to circulate throughout the whole entire body. And the skin often becomes the outlet for those. On top of that, when your nervous system is stuck in that chronic stress state that we talked about, the flight, or freeze mode, your digestion really slows down. Your detoxification pathways all become very sluggish, and inflammation then ramps up. So, if we don't support the gut and calm the stress response, the skin can't heal. So, my program focuses on restoring harmony in all three of those areas: the gut, the brain, and the skin. Because when they are in sync, the body naturally moves back towards balance. That's where it wants to go to. The body wants to heal, it wants to be in balance. So, this approach really helps it to do that by making sure that we are approaching all three systems.
Oh my God, I love that. I'm excited. I'm thinking about a couple of my friends that benefit to this.
Oh, awesome.
And I know that
Mhm.
you also bring energy healing and emotional well-being into your program. Can I ask you, how do things like mindset and like self-worth and emotional release, like
Mm.
how does that actually support physical healing as well?
Yeah. Um, because all of those thought processes and our mindset are they're all so tied into our nervous system state. So if we constantly have thoughts, like I'll give you a personal example. So because I also had the major gut stuff going on at the same time that I had my skin problems, I very much believed that it was all a gut problem. And so I was like hammering myself with elimination diet after elimination diet. Oh, cut this out, add this in, supplement with this, like do that. So my mind was on food nonstop, 24/7. Such stress, such crazy stress. And my mindset was, if I find the right mix of foods that I can eat, then my skin will be okay. And then some of the beliefs that I had around that were really damaging. Like if I think back on some of the things that would come into my mind around food, it would be that food's bad. That is an evil food that's going to do something to me, kind of thing. And so think of the energy signature of something like you're fearing that food. You are yeah, you're in a major state of fear, which is a very low vibration. And constantly putting that low vibration into your body, into your experience, especially if you decide to eat that bad food or that evil food, like now you've just doubled up on that terrible harmonic in there, right? That terrible frequency. So looking at your your thought patterns, your beliefs, your mindset around all of the different things. And that it's going to be very individual for each woman, right? Like mine was very much around my gut and eating and all of the beliefs that I had around that. But it's going to be different for each woman, like where we go into trying to really delve into what's going on in your thought process that's keeping you stuck in this inflammatory cycle, that's keeping your nervous system stuck in stress response after stress response. And once we can identify those, you start to just bring gentle awareness, right, to that, to like, okay, every time I have that thought, how can I change that around, right? How can I change that into something positive? I'm doing my best. I'm making the best food choices that I can. I'm feeding myself nutritious food that's going to help heal my skin. Stuff like that can really start to make more shifts internally than we think that they will. Like that's when some of those inflammatory processes really start to go down, and you can start having longer term relief with your skin, calmer skin for like weeks at a time, and really start to see some progress.
Okay. Do you have any client success stories that you want to share that has benefited the program?
Yes. Okay, so I can think of one client who'd been struggling, Tina, for 15 years, over 15 years with eczema. She, like me, had tried every single cream out there. You like when you have eczema, you literally have that like cupboard in the bathroom where it's like just stacks upon stacks of balms and salves and lotions and creams and all the things, right? There's like 20 bottles in there. You've spent $1,000 on all of these things. So many different prescriptions, elimination diets, and like all the supplements out there. And nothing had worked for her for more than a few weeks. So when she joined my program, we focused first on calming her nervous system and restoring. She was a gut health one as well. So we really worked on restoring her gut health rather than chasing symptoms. And within a few weeks, her itching and redness had really started to settle, which was amazing. But was even more powerful was she began to feel calmer, like an overall deep sense of calm and more in control of things. She realized that her flares were often linked to stress and emotional triggers. And by the end of the program, not only was her skin clear, but she said she finally felt at peace in her own body for the first time in years. So that's really what it's about. It's not just about the skin, it's about the whole person transforming.
So there's really hope out there. And what would you
Yes.
say to our listeners about what possibilities are out there with this kind of holistic approach? What can you say to them?
Yeah. I completely understand how you're feeling. I've been there myself. And when you've tried everything and nothing works, it's really easy to lose hope. But I want people to know that it's your body wants to heal. It's not broken. It's just overwhelmed, right? And so when we can move past that state of overwhelm, then the body can start to feel peace and calm again, and then you'll start to see it reflected through you. Once you address those real root causes, the chronic stress, the inflammation, the gut imbalance, and then that emotional load that we hold, the body has an incredible ability to recover.
To heal.
And I've seen it over and over again.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're listening and you feel stuck, just know that healing is possible. And it's not about perfection. That's another thing that I've run through the core of my program, because so many women have such high expectations for themselves that they never feel like they're meeting. This is not about perfection. It's about supporting your body and your mind to find balance again, step by step. And having someone there with you along there through that, like supporting you and really connecting in with you, I think makes such a big difference.
And there's this thing about, I just want to talk about a bit about perfection. And
Hmm.
I think it's what contributes to a lot of our stress. It's very counterintuitive of heal, like you wanting to heal, because it's
Hmm.
very much like for me, it's more of a control rather than taking those steps to heal.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
It totally does. Yeah. Perfection was a huge one that I had to look at because of my early years. Like I attended a professional ballet school when I was 9 years old. Like I was Clara in the Nutcracker. And it
Wow.
like, yeah, you go and you have these amazing experiences, and then you come back in. Like I made the decision to leave and come back and be a normal person for high school. I was like, I want to experience what it's like to just go to high school. And but like those patterns were already set in place. And so, like when I would look in the mirror, it was, is there a hair out of place? Like, is there a blemish showing? What am I wearing? Is my clothing perfectly right? Because like as ballerinas, we train in front of mirrors, right? You're constantly having that feedback of like, oh, what does this look like if I slightly modify how I'm holding my arm? So this like perfectionism thing was ingrained in me big time. And I've always made a really conscious effort to never have anything like that around my kids, of just like, you are perfect exactly the way that you've been designed, and like that was something that I probably over like a decade or two, if I'm being honest,
Mhm.
really just slowly unpacked for myself, and like, again, brought awareness to the thoughts that kept popping up of, and the processes I was going through, of like okay, well, who cares if your hair's a mess? Just go out, like that's not the point of it. You're going to have fun and do something, like who gives a crap what you look like?
Yeah.
And yeah, so it was like those little things all the time, right? That I just brought curiosity to, and that awareness, right? Of like, oh, okay, just said that again in my head, and and then just having a little affirmation too, I think can be really helpful because your body listens. And so saying something to yourself like, I am perfect just the way that I am.
I love it. Makes me
Yeah.
emotional because just not too long ago, actually, I caught myself kind of, I think we were going to a party or I forgot what it was. It was an occasion, a get together, and I was looking at the mirror. I'm like, oh, this kind of hairstyle doesn't look good, or like my makeup doesn't look that great. And I caught myself and I'm like, I'm not going there to show people that I'm perfect or I'm flawless. I'm showing there as me to have a good time, to, just be you. Like, I feel like there's so much belief in like the physical appearance and
Mm.
perfectionism and showing up a certain way when the reality is people probably just want you to spend time with them, right? But the stress and the negativity that we put within ourselves, it's so alarming.
It is.
It's like,
It is.
how nobody cares.
I
Nobody,
know, right?
at the end of the day, it's like, why did I put so much pressure on myself? I had a lot of fun just being me.
Exactly. I know, right? It's
It's,
tough though when things are perpetuated in the media all the time,
that's,
right? Like we are constantly being shown images, and now we're being shown perfect AI generated images, of like completely symmetrical, beautiful beings that don't exist, right? Like
yeah.
humans don't have a lot going on when it comes to that whole symmetry thing. And so you can tell right away with those AI things, but they're like, oh, wow. Oh, wouldn't that be cool to look like that or have a body like that? And it's just like constantly in our faces.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
But to recognize that we as humans are not perfect to begin with is, I think, the first step to healing. Like
Hmm.
just putting that in our mind, basically.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Or that you're already perfect.
That's it. I
Like we
love that.
believe in Reiki, you're on the path that you're meant to be on. You're experiencing the things that you're meant to be experiencing, right? Like you're learning the lessons that you're
Wow.
supposed to be learning in this lifetime.
Yeah.
So just go with it. Go with the flow. That's literally why I called my business Harmonize and Flow. Like harmonize those frequencies, find out what makes you and your harmonics sing, and then flow with it.
I think we're a little bit misinformed about what really are the goals, our spirit goal on this earth,
Mm,
what our mission is. I think because there's so many noises, right, and so many
yeah.
things in social media and the trauma from childhood and all these things in our surroundings that we tend to miss what is the purpose of being here, what
Hmm.
really does matter. I
Yes.
think that's another discussion for another episode, but
Yes.
what are few small things you think that with your program people can start doing today?
Mm,
Maybe particularly something from your program that you can share.
absolutely. So at the end of this, I've given you the link for my free ebook that people can
Mhm.
go and download. There's a couple of great things in there that are perfect to start doing right away. I really love this question because small, consistent actions really make the biggest differences. One of the simplest things is to connect with yourself each day, slow down, and just breathe, you know, especially before eating. It sounds so basic, but it helps shift your body into rest and digest. Like before, we called the parasympathetic response rest and heal. It was actually called rest and digest. So when you're in that state, you actually absorb nutrients, you calm inflammation naturally. So, like just taking that moment, don't have devices with you when you eat. Sit down, take a deep breath. That activates your vagus nerve. Your vagus nerve travels all the way down into your gut and like literally shift into parasympathetic and then eat the food that you're going to eat. Be present with it.
I've
Um,
heard a guy
oop,
talk about this, the breathing technique
mm,
before. So I certainly believe in that technique.
yeah, for sure. And
Mhm.
then another easy step is to start kind of crowding out those processed foods and seed oils and replace them with just whole foods, anti-inflammatory foods, things like clean proteins, healthy fats, colorful fruits and veggies, like kind of that idea of going back to what our grandmother ate.
Mhm.
And then finally, you can really focus on hydration and gentle movement. I think those are great things. They get our lymphatic system working. So like walking every day, just like a 10-15 minute walk, is great. Dry
So,
brushing to keep your lymphatic system flowing.
mhm.
Small habits like that seem simple, but they start to reset your body's healing rhythm.
Now, I'm kind of interested what you think of this. You mentioned connect to yourself,
Hmm.
connecting to the self. Are those things you listed an example of connecting to yourself, or is there other methods to connect to yourself?
Um,
What does
I
it look
believe
like?
that the most powerful way that people can connect to themselves when they're not used to doing it is their breath. So if you think about all of the things going on in our bodies every single day, they're just happening, right? We don't have to be like, regulate my blood pressure, like digest those sugars, make ATP. We don't have control over any of that,
We
but we
go
do have,
crazy.
yeah, exactly. And most of the time we're breathing, right? But that is one thing that we can take control of, right? This like automatic process that we have for breathing our body, we can take control of that and connect in with ourselves. So for somebody who's not used to connecting in with themselves at all, that simple act of just being like, okay, I'm going to slow down for a minute and I'm going to become aware of my breath. And maybe to shut my mind down, I'm going to count, right? So, like on my inhale, I can just count to 3 or 4 slowly. When your mind is counting, it can't be thinking about other things. Then hold it for a second or two, and then make your exhale long and slow. I love doing longer exhales than I do inhales. Like I find that really, really activates that vagus nerve response and like puts you into that parasympathetic mode because it tells your body, I'm safe. So doing a breathing exercise like that, even if you do like 3 breath cycles where you're counting and doing deep exhales, do that and then just say to yourself, I am safe. Then move, get back into your day, do whatever you're doing, right?
It's crazy that
So,
we don't feel safe in our own body.
yeah.
It's like it's alarming. And I guess my other question is for those who want to learn more and today I want to start making change. If you happen to come across this podcast, you've created a free ebook called Beyond the Cream. What do you think people can expect to find in your book?
Yeah. So I made Beyond the Cream as like a perfect starting point for anybody who wants to understand what's really driving their eczema. It breaks down the 4 most common root causes. So things like chronic inflammation, gut imbalance, stress in our nervous system, and helps you see how they connect into your skin. And then for each section, I include a simple daily practice and mindset shift that you can start right away to begin calming your body and reducing flare-ups naturally. And it's not about quick fixes at all, like we talked about. It's about understanding your body's messages and learning how to work with your body instead of against it.
This is a much bigger picture than what I've imagined starting when I first learned about your program. It's very much holistic, systemic. It's
Yeah.
for long-term healing. It's not something I learned an ebook today. I'm good for a month because I used a holistic cream or whatever it is. It's something that will heal you from a deeper cellular level. So
Yeah.
I'm so excited about this program.
Thank you.
What happens, Sabrina, during a skin relief assessment? During a call, what happens?
Okay. So I offer to do free skin relief assessment calls with women. It's a one-on-one conversation where we look at your personal skin story, what you've tried, what worked or hasn't, and what underlying patterns might be keeping you stuck. I help you connect the dots between your symptoms, your stress, and your overall health so that you can see the bigger picture of what's really happening beneath the surface. And then from there, I'll share the next best step for your situation. So whether that's lifestyle changes you can start right away, or if my eczema recovery system would be a good fit for you. It's a process that's really designed to bring clarity and empowerment, not pressure. It's not a sales call. It's I only want to work with women who are a good fit. Like I want them to experience the success that I've experienced. And if my program isn't right for them, then it's not right. And I'll suggest an alternative.
That's what I like about you. Very honest, very much a support in every way level possible.
Thank you. Thank you.
I hate to say this, but we're actually at the end of
I
this
know.
amazing interview. But I do have one last question, and I know you'll answer this perfectly. What does true healing mean to you? beyond what we spoke about, beyond just having clear skin, what does true healing mean to you? And I'm asking this because I've known you for years. What do you think is true healing?
For me, true healing is about coming home to yourself. It's when you no longer feel at war with your body, and instead you start listening to it and trusting it again. That's a huge one. Clear skin is wonderful, of course. Like I would never want to go back to having eczema the way that I did. But the deeper gift of healing is peace, internal peace. It's confidence and it's freedom that comes when your body isn't screaming at you for your attention anymore. It's about feeling like calm, grounded, and in alignment on the inside and out. Like I can feel the difference in my nervous system from 10, 15 years ago. It literally felt like I was on fire and irritated, just aggravated, like buzzing internally, right? So much noise in my head all the time. And now I feel a sense of calm. I really do. It's very peaceful to be living inside my body. And
yeah,
I really want to wish that on everyone. I think that, yeah, our health is so important. And if we don't have it, then we don't have the quality of life that we each deserve.
I will say when I was in nursing school, and I will say it till the day that I die, health is wealth. And
It is. Mm-hmm.
so
It's so true.
thank you so much, Sabrina. Thank you for sharing your story, for
Thank you.
being my guest once again. It's so empowering to know that, eczema doesn't have to be a lifelong struggle, and that true healing is possible. Actually, I will link the page down below. So if you're listening and you want to take the next step, Sabrina has a free ebook called Beyond the Cream. It is an amazing resource to help you understand what's really driving your skin flare-ups and how to begin calming inflammation naturally. You can grab your copy at the link that I will be putting down. And if you already know you're ready for real lasting change, I encourage you to book your skin relief assessment call right away. Sabrina is currently offering special beta launch pricing on her Eczema Recovery System, but for a free assessment call, I don't think people should wait on this. I think this is the perfect time. Get personalized support and finally start your healing journey. Again, thanks, Sabrina.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Abby.